Alright, I think it's time we give this little puffball his day in the sun here. Hey guys, welcome back to the Nintendo Super Power Club Challenge channel with Bill, your host. Today, we are looking at Kirby, the lovable white or pink puffball that we've been seeing a few times throughout this collection here. Today, we're looking at Kirby's Adventure on the NES, and this is card number 147 in the collection. So if you've been following this channel, and if you've been doing any kind of research on the collection previously, you already know that there are several games within this collection of cards that have two separate challenges. Previously, we've already knocked out two of those games, being The Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Bros. 3. Today, we're going to be tackling the first of those two challenges for Kirby's Adventure. Black Bass Fishing will be coming much later down the line. I'm honestly shocked it took me such a long time to get to Kirby's Adventure because it is quite a fun game, but perhaps the reason being is because I couldn't knock it out in 5, 10, or 20 minutes. As you're going to see, this challenge is significantly longer than that. How long? Let's flip it over and take a look. Yeah, definitely longer than 5 or 10 minutes here. Challenge states finish the game with 100% using only 7 Kirbys on the pro level. Okay, so obviously that means this is a full game playthrough, and we have to beat every single stage and find every single hidden switch while dying no more than 7 times. Truthfully, Kirby's Adventure and most Kirby games in general are not that difficult. So you're probably thinking this won't be too difficult of a challenge, and honestly, you're right to an extent. There are obviously a couple tricky stages, and as long as you take it slow and cautious, remember there's no time limit in this game, so there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to do this, provided that you take your time. You're going to see the whole game through. Obviously, this is a multi-hour playthrough. There's no way I can comfortably show it in one clip, so we're going to break it up into half-hour chunks, much like we've done with several longer games that we've done in the past. So sit back, relax, and watch the first part of Kirby's Adventure on the NES. Here we go. Alright, we're off and running with Kirby's Adventure. We're going to start in Level 1, which is Vegetable Valley, and of course this is the introductory stage. You'll learn how to do some of the basic movements here. As anyone who's ever played Kirby knows, you can suck all your enemies in, and you can copy special abilities if they have them. In this case, this enemy does. He has the Beam attack. Beam is probably one of my personal favorites. It can get a lot of enemies from many different ranges here. Also, by the way, as you're seeing right here, Kirby has the ability to inhale and float and fly over so many different enemies and parts of stages here. That is why, in my honest opinion, a lot of this game is a joke, because you can just fly over almost everything here. There are often times where you will not be able to do that, of course, but in the early going, take advantage of it when you can. Yes, there are points, but it's not that big of a deal considering that we can only die 7 times. Points aren't a factor in this run through here. Now, here you're going to see we passed over it, but that fruit with the M or the W, I forget what letter it was, that particular health power, whoa, that was close, will refill your life all the way to the very top. So if you're low on health, obviously make sure that you pick it up. This is the end of the level. If you want to get more points, potentially bonus lives here, make sure you mash A at the very apex of the jump when you can. But again, in a run where you only get 7 lives, it doesn't really matter that much. So clearly, you do want to get a couple lives to get yourself up to 7, so you have those 7 lives to burn if you need them. But beyond that, 20,000 lives is completely pointless. Alright, so we move into the second level here. I know we covered a lot in that first level here, but it's a lot to take in. Now, some of these enemies here that you're going to see, like the flashing spiked urchin enemies, they are invincible. You can't kill them, so don't really bother with them. You can kill the blocks that block them in, so to speak, so do that if you want to. And we just picked up a warp star there. That takes us to the next section of the level. And here, we're going to encounter our very first sub-boss here. So this is a boss that has a unique ability to copy after you take him down. This is basically Bomb Man. If you think back to Mega Man 1, this is the equivalent of that. He will jump around, toss bombs. That's what I equate him to, and just keep hitting him, taking him down, jump over the bombs as he tosses them here. And here, if you want to, you have the ability to suck him in and take his ability for Crash. Now, Crash is an amazing ability. The only downside is that you can only use it once. By the way, if you want to get rid of an ability that you already have, just hit Select. Oh, I love that right there. He just destroys everything on screen. So getting back to what I was saying, if you want to get rid of a special ability that you already have, just hit the select button, and that will get rid of that ability. You can suck it back in if you want to, but yeah, select will get rid of it, and then you can take whatever other enemy has the special that you're looking to copy here. So in this case, we're back to Beam. Go ahead and use what you need to, and the exit is right up here. But before we go to that, we're going to suck in the Spark special here, and we are going to take advantage of that M power-up to refill all the way to the top. This is a case where we actually do want it. And just in case we haven't mentioned it already, if you hit down and attack, you can dash slide into enemies here. So Kirby is very multi-powered here. He is very multi-talented, I should say. So take advantage of all the specials that he has, because eventually when we move into the second Kirby's Adventure Challenge, where we are limited to just specials only, it becomes a lot more tricky than you think. We can't use any of those, you know, slide attacks, any of the puff blows. It becomes a lot more tricky. But we're going to take advantage of not having to worry about that right now while we can. We're going to use everything to our advantage. We're going to actually enjoy this game from start to finish, minus the deaths. Alright, we move into level 1-3. Again, this is a case where you can fly over just about everything in the early going here, so take advantage of it. Fly over all the cannons, fly over really almost everything here. There's a beam man right down there. Don't worry about it. Just keep on flying and flying. Watch out for this thing. He could trick you out if you don't know what he can do here, so fly over, jump in. Another section, this is a nice enemy to suck in, gives you the fireball attack. So if you think back to Mega Man 2 Heat Man, this is a nice little ability to copy. The only downside is that it doesn't last very long, so take advantage of it, but just be aware of its limitations. Gotta say, I love all of the unique abilities that Kirby has in this game. One of my favorite reasons to play this game over and over again. Just, there's so many different ways to go about playing it. You don't have to encounter the same area twice if you don't want to. You can take on the bosses in multiple different ways. So, lots of replayability in this game. Moving on forward, now underwater, there are several enemy abilities that can be copied and used underwater, most notably the sword. Most everything else cannot be used, so that's something you want to be aware of for the future challenge where we are limited to specials only. But for here, obviously it doesn't really matter, so take advantage of whatever you want. Ouch, that hurts, clearly. Alright, we lost our ability, but we're still running around. By the way, you may have noticed this way back in the start of the game, but you can run and dash as Kirby. So if you tap the D-pad in the direction you want to go twice, Kirby will dash, and he'll run significantly faster than he would otherwise. So if you're trying to speed run the game, obviously you want to take advantage of his dashing ability. That takes care of level 1-3, and as we progress on forward here, we are just about at the end of the first level, and we're going to have a boss that we're going to be dealing with here. And if you've played Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy, you know exactly what to expect here. But before we get to that, we're going to come to the museum. Now, the museum is a nice little place you can go to copy unique enemy abilities here. If you're looking for something in particular, like the sword, this is one of my favorite abilities in the game for many reasons, but mainly because you can also use it underwater, which is unique. Not all abilities can be done that way. So we move into the last level here, the last stage of level 1. You can use the sword on this guy, and I certainly recommend it. Look how quickly, look how much energy he lost in that one sword swipe attack. This guy's just about dead. Swipe him one more time, and he's going to give us one of the coolest abilities in the early going here, the freeze ability. We're going to basically use this up until the start of the second level here. Just watch what happens. Any enemy that Kirby freezes turns into an ice block and can be used against your opponent here. And unlike the first sub-boss that we saw where you got that crash ability, it doesn't disappear after one single use. So freeze is definitely an ability that I love to use, and you're going to see a lot of it here in the early part of this game. So here we are climbing up a tree. You know, just be careful, be cautious, don't be silly about it. Just keep going up, 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 up. And we're almost at the end of this level here. We're just going to keep on moving. And right about here, we're going to come to a nice little invincibility star, so to speak. This is the Hyper Kirby, which makes him invincible. Just take advantage of a dash run all the way to the end of the stage. There's a 1-up. Grab it if you want to. We'll have plenty more chances to grab those with bonus stages. For right now, not a big deal. All the way to the end. And we are through the final main stage of the first level here, and we are now going to tackle the boss. Now, you could go back and take some of those optional bonus stages that we skipped here. There is one that lets you do a particular Kirby bonus crane game. We'll come back to that later. But here's the first boss, the Wispy Woods. Now, if you played Game Boy version of this, you know exactly what's going to happen. Just get right next to him and mash the attack button. It does not matter what ability you have. Just mash, mash, mash. Gone. This is the easiest boss in all of existence for Kirby. Take him now quickly, get the first piece of your magic rod there. And that's the end of the first level of Kirby's Adventure. There are no secret hidden switches in this level. It's a nice introduction to the game. Not a whole lot else to say. We move into level 2, this is Ice Cream Island, and the game will start to get a little more difficult here, but it's still nothing that you can't handle. We're going to maintain the freeze ability here, keep on moving through, dash, dash, dash. You can go in that section if you want for more health. We don't need it at this point, obviously. So we're going to continue to move on forward here with the freeze ability. Gotta say, I absolutely love the fact that you can push enemies forward or backward with those ice blocks. Awesome, awesome. Moving on forward, nothing we haven't seen before already, just keep doing what you do. Honestly, you know, depending on the ability that you have, it could make the game simpler or harder. At this point, with the freeze ability, not a whole lot to worry about. Now that enemy right there can be rather annoying. That's basically the equivalent of dropping a bomb or a nuke on you here. So the moment you get close to it, I suggest just flying over top of it so you don't get hit by the bomb blast accidentally. Keep on moving forward, going through the door here, and we have another wooded section. Nothing too complicated, you could fly over most of this. Now there's a couple enemy types I want to mention here. You have the tornado enemies here. Now you need to be very careful of the tornadoes. Those will catch you off guard if you're not careful. So I recommend flying over top if you can. And if you happen to get the tornado here, you can tear through most of this stage and many of the subsequent stages that come. So I suggest probably getting a tornado, and you're right at the end of the stage, so that's kind of nice here. We get through this section, we're going to keep the tornado, and we're going to absolutely obliterate the next couple stages here if we can manage to hold on to it. So one other thing you're going to notice is that levels 2 and levels 3, a little further down the line, will have more stages than the first one did. So the first one had 4 stages, the second level is going to have 5, and if I'm not mistaken, the third level has 6 stages, and that's going to be a continuing trend for the first 3, possibly more. Now here, we're trying to use the tornado to break through this block. Clearly it's not working, so there may be occasions where you have to suck in some air and blow it out to get through those little areas here. That's unfortunate, and we got to be careful. We're getting a little bit low on health here, and we just lost our tornado. Wonderful. So we're going to go ahead and suck this enemy in, and he gives us the Needle attack. So if you've ever played Mega Man 3, Needle Man comes to mind, and he can turn into a porcupine, basically. So interesting if you're looking to be a turtle and defensive, but this is not one of my favorite abilities to have, so we're going to look to get rid of this one pretty quickly here as soon as we have a better option. And we're going to do that actually pretty soon because we have another sub-boss coming up here. So, bye-bye. Going to get rid of this needle right about now. And here comes the next sub-boss. This is a wheel, a turbo wheel that will burst right through. The easiest way to take on this boss is to just wait for him to throw out these little football wheels, suck him in, blow him back at him. Wow, first hit took out about 75% of his health. So just do the same old thing. He's going to dash on through you again. Suck in the wheels, blown back, and that was unfortunate timing here. We got to be extremely careful. Thankfully, there is a health power-up coming up beyond this boss. So get the next one. Wait until he's fully sucked in before you blow it back out. And one more should do it. Wait till he goes back over and around. Here comes our third one. Suck it in, blow it back out. Gone. Now, you could opt to suck in this one here, and it will give you the wheel attack. I'm opting not to do that just because it can be kind of dangerous and reckless with that wheel, and I've had some bad experiences with it in the past, so we're just going to choose not to do it. We're going to fly over most of the gap here. There is a miniature bottle health power-up, and unlike the M, this will only restore about 30% of your health, which is still better than nothing. Go ahead and do it. You have a sword enemy down there, which might be useful to take in if you need an attack. We're just going to continue to fly over things. We're about halfway through this level, if not more, and we're going to have another health power-up coming here. So that's 4 health powers, 4 health pellets that we've regurgitated or inhaled. And we got the Parasol Umbrella, which is a nice little ability to have. So think of it like the sword, only it also gives you a easier way to descend from a high height here. So kind of a nice ability on the back end. So that takes care of the second stage in level 2, and you're going to see there are some sub-stages you can now go through to earn points and extra lives and power-ups, things of that nature. Go ahead and use them as time permits. We're going to go ahead and keep on moving, and now you can see we are inhaled. Going into this next portion here. Now, this is where the game can get a little bit tricky here because now you're in an enclosed cavernous quarters here. By the way, right about here, if you have the correct ability, you can get the UFO power-up here. It's one of the best power-ups in the entire game because of the precision that it gives you over your movements and attacks. It's not necessary, but it'll make the next section a lot easier to get through. For the time being, the umbrella, the parasols are actually a pretty nice power-up to have. Unfortunately, we did lose it here, so we're back to normal. Just make use of your Kirby swish and swoosh. Moving on through. Not too difficult here. If you were playing with the special only, then clearly that could be a little bit tricky if you don't have the correct power-ups here. So we're going to keep on moving through, and you could choose to go up or down. We're going to go down because we don't have the correct power-up to go up, as you can see. You need to have the right power-up to get rid of that bomb. So we're just moving on through, and we're pretty close to another sub-boss here. So before we get there, go ahead, suck in a little puff of air, blow it out, get rid of that bomb. You're going to have one more enemy up here, so it might be useful to just wait till he comes down. Get rid of this little bomb here, and this enemy always causes nightmares for me, so just get rid of this. Okay, now we move into the next little sub-boss here. These are the Meta Knights, or the Meta Knights, whatever you want to call them. You will encounter them several times throughout the game. This, of course, is the first time, and the way they work is pretty simple. There's 3 different tiers or levels, and all you got to do is destroy all of the knights, and you're going to see there is a health bar at the bottom of the screen. Every time you take one of the knights down, the overall health total of the boss will decrease. Once you kill all the knights, boss is over, and you move on with the rest of the stage here. The bosses themselves aren't that difficult as long as you take your time, as I've been saying before, and ooh, we gotta be very careful of that right now. I gotta say that when you go to attempt the second Kirby challenge, when you have to use nothing but specials, that can be extremely difficult because you have to have the right type of special in order to beat this boss. If you go in there without a special, you are basically screwed because there's no way to get a special once you're in this sub-boss fight. If you come in here with a normal attack, you are done and you'll have to reset the game or take a loss, whatever. That's pretty much it. We have one more of those knights to destroy or suck up, and we will move on with the next part of this game here. And we're just waiting for the correct and good opportunity to get in there. And this last one is always annoying. Waiting for the time to suck it up. Got rid of it. There we go. All right, moving on. Next section, if you're low on health, you can go down there. Don't do it if you only have one. It is not worth it. That is a trap, so just go straight past it. There will be other opportunities to gain health. Trust me, I've made plenty of mistakes there in runs in the past. Just don't do it. Avoid the temptation. Alright, and that takes care of 2-3. We now have 2 more levels to go before the second world boss. So we move to 2-4. Again, there is another couple bonus stages here. You can do them if you want. There's also a museum up there, which we will go to. And you have a choice between laser and fire. You pick whatever one you want. I really don't like laser as much as many people do, so I'm going to choose to go with fire here. You're going to have quite a few opportunities to go with laser in the next couple stages, so, you know, take that for what you will. We went with fire, and we are very, very low on health. We've got to be very cautious and careful here, so take your time, fly over the enemies as you can, use your puff attack or your fire, whatever you got. Alright, we're going to come down here, and there's a section here just to get a 1-up. You can go in here if you want to. The only purpose to get 1-ups, of course, is to get yourself up to the total of 7, because you have 7 lives total to exhaust for the purpose of this challenge. So if you're already at 7, you can totally skip this room. There's no point in coming in here, of course. But we got one more, and ooh, make sure you get out of there quickly. That's also a trap, so be very, very careful and cautious. Destroy the enemies, fly over them. You're going to have a section where you can regain the health right here, and this is a full health regain, so go ahead and grab it right there. And continue flying on through. Nothing too tricky at the moment. Just take care of the enemies that come up toward you if you absolutely need to. You know, this section of the level right here is giving me vibes from Monster Party on the NES. That one little cloud section, cloud stage. If anyone's ever played that game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Great game. Alright, moving on through, we're back to the more traditional island-looking level here for Ice Cream Island, and we lost our special, unfortunately, and now we got another little sub-boss here. This is a fun boss to take out just because of the special you get for killing it. Alright, we get our special back, and just take it out quickly. Don't get near the force field. Eventually, it will shoot out the music notes right there, so suck them in as you can and shoot them back at the boss, or use your own special at them. Doesn't really matter, however you choose to do it. Do what you gotta do, and eventually he will be able to take it down. And just be careful, because after you suck up the note, usually it will jump in an attempt to troll you, so you totally miss the note. And we're about halfway down on our life. One more shot should do it. Suck in the note, shoot it, gone. Now we're gonna go ahead and inhale this thing, and we get the mic attack. This is one of my personal favorites in the entire game, because much like the crash attack from earlier in the first world, it will destroy every single enemy on screen. Now the good thing about this special skill, unlike the crash attack you got in World 1, is that it will not totally disappear after one use. It looks like you got several uses, maybe 3 or 4 before it's totally gone, so that's kind of nice. Now here you have the laser skill that you can inhale if you don't already have one, or if you exhausted all of your mic power, plus another one up, so that puts us up at 6. We can get one more before we are basically out of chances to get extra lives here. And we're going to continue moving on through. You're going to have plenty of chances to inhale laser enemies here, so just keep that in mind. You can go down here if you want to. It's not required. The only reason to go in here is for a partial health power-up, and given the fact that we've only got 2, I think this is a good opportunity to go down and do that. So, by the way, if you have the laser power-up here, you notice how we can shoot the laser off of the little blocks there, and it will reflect all the way across the room, so that's kind of nice to have. That's interesting for the laser attack only. So if you already got full health, you can bypass that room right there. We're going to keep on moving and destroying enemies along the way. And we're going to bypass these cannons here. Interesting note with the cannons, they will shoot 3 times in a row, so just keep that in mind before you move on through them. And we're almost out of here. Yes, that's the end of the world, or end of the level, I should say. Fly up to the top. Hopefully, did we get there? No. I don't think we've ever gotten to the top, maybe one time. If your timing is perfect, you can get the extra life almost every single time, but again, when you're limited to only 7 lives, it's kind of pointless, doesn't really matter that much. Alright, continuing on, we have another museum, a couple museums up there actually, so make use of those if you want to get another decent power-up, and we certainly will take a look at something up here. And up in the top, we have the battle arena. We're not going to worry about that at the moment. So here we go on to the last level of the second world. And this can be a tricky one toward the very end of it. We'll show you what we mean here. And we got a lot of cannons here. These cannons, to my knowledge, cannot be destroyed, so don't bother wasting effort and time like I've been doing here. Keep in mind, of course, they shoot one direction 3 times, and unfortunately we get caught in a little trap here. Not really thinking too much, so otherwise you'll get caught in a triangle right there, so move very quickly, don't dilly-dally. We are going to come up on another tricky section very, very shortly. Once we get past these cannons here, we're going to go in this tree. Again, this is optional, you don't have to go in here, but you will see there will be some wheel enemies here. Don't bother trying to take these enemies down unless you want the wheel attack, which is nice, but again, as I mentioned way back ago, the wheel attack is kind of reckless, and if you don't know how to control it, or use it carefully and cautiously, you can end up killing yourself accidentally. By the way, this is an accidental death here. Be very careful. Don't do this. I didn't realize at the time what enemy I was inhaling. That is the sleep enemy, and when you inhale it, it puts you to sleep, making you totally vulnerable to any attack. So that's unfortunate. That's our first death. We're going to have to keep that in mind. We have 6 more deaths before we lose the challenge. I guarantee you we're not going to make any more mistakes like that ever again. I hope not. Alright, moving forward, you could go down to the bottom if you had the right special attack to go down there. Clearly we didn't, and it's not that big of a deal if you don't in the first place. So we're going to keep on moving. A lot of enemies you could just fly right over. You can get the sword enemy, you can get the sword skill if you want to, and I certainly do. It's one of my personal favorites, as I've mentioned a couple times already. So we're going to pick it up and continue on, and we're going to lose the sword skill almost immediately. So go ahead and move on anyway. Whew, not exactly what I was anticipating, losing a life this early in the run, but thankfully we have 7 lives to use. We get the parasol attack back. Again, if you think back to earlier, this is very similar to the sword. Now this section right here, I like this little innovation for this level here. You have to fly yourself up and destroy the blocks as you're going up here, and destroy the enemies as you're going up here. So I will tell you, your end goal is to get to the top left section of this map. Nice thing to think about here, if you had the crash or the mic skill, you would be able to basically destroy everything on screen, and that little thing right there does just about the same thing. So continue to move on up, top left, there's your exit door. Not the exit for the level, but it will certainly get you there. That's a quick thing you got to think about. Most people will totally miss that because they're not paying attention. Make sure you destroy that enemy quickly so you can get that full health power up if you're low on health, and trust me, you will need it because the next world, or the next stage in this world, is the boss. Oh, look at that, we finally get the extra life Kirby here. Not that it really matters that much. Okay, so as I mentioned, we have the second world boss coming up, and this one can be a very fun boss because there's a lot of opportunities to use many different skills here, but it can also catch you off guard and cost you a life or two if you don't know how to handle it. We're going to go up top and we're going to walk back out because we weren't paying attention here, and I think the reason we did that was because we liked our parasol skill. Now you can choose to go in here with any skill that you want, or you can just abandon the skill, because what's going to happen here, this boss is going to draw pictures on the easels just like this, right? And you have the option and the opportunity to inhale all of the pictures that come across on these easels and shoot them right back at the boss, or you can just inhale them and shoot the stars right back at the boss. So you have many opportunities to get free and easy damage on this boss here, and unfortunately we are not paying attention right now. We're taking some unfortunate hits. We got to really start getting on the ball here, or this is going to cost us life number 2 this early in the run, which is not good, because trust me, this game will get harder. We will want to have those buffers of the extra lives for later in the game, and oh my lord, we can only take one more hit safely before we lose another life. Alright, so as far as strategy on this boss, you're going to notice that sometimes the boss will go straight across left to right, sometimes the boss will go up and down. So what do? Obviously, don't stay in the middle here. That is the biggest and best advice I can give you. Stay out of the middle just like that. We can only take one more hit before we lose this. This is going to be very tight and tricky. So inhale, shoot. Staying up at the top is probably the best strategy here. Maybe top middle would be good. There's no way they can get you right there. Sometimes these projectiles will follow you like the parasol. That can be very dangerous. Be very cautious. Ooh, look at that. We got the last hit. That was double danger, so to speak, in fighting game terms, but we got it. That was worth the entertainment. But we got the second boss down, and we can finally move into world number 3 here. So that's 2 down with 5 to go, and I think that puts us around 20% completion so far. We're going to save the rest of the game for part 2. Thank you guys for tuning into this part. Very much appreciated as always. Take care, and we'll see you in part 2 of this game.